Okay. All right. We are live.
Good
Okay.
morning.
I'm here today with Erin Peterson, who is a good friend and a client and just an amazing creative person and personal brand here in Spokane. And why don't you just introduce yourself really quick? Tell everyone about yourself and your business.
I would be happy to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am a professional educator turned blogger and Instagrammer, and I have absolutely loved the transition. And with that came a lot of, growing pains, having to be in front of the camera and getting used to lives and getting used to putting your face out there can be really intimidating. So, of course, the most important thing for me has been to connect with other professionals who are in this industry and understand the expectations of, modern day marketing and what that looks like. So I have been growing and changing with my business because, this didn't exist 10, 15 years ago as an industry, and now it has just taken over. So making sure that I am making intelligent decisions as I go and learning with the platforms has been hugely important, but I really do love my job. It's pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad I got to meet you, and we have like Facebook to thank for that, I guess. That's probably like true for most of the people I know these days. We met online originally, including my husband. So
Oh, me too.
yeah,
Check mine online as well.
right. Like back then it was weird. I was like,
Yeah.
only desperate old people meet on the internet. Like that was kind of my thought, It was kind of a newish thing. But we're both introverted and kind of shy, and I don't think we ever would have met at a party or, anything like that. So it was the perfect thing for us. And I feel that way about friends too now, it's easier to connect online first. So
Really,
anyway,
you get to look at each other's profiles and see what you've done, what you've accomplished, what your background's like. It helps you to have something to talk about, even though it may be a little creepy to some people. It's just helpful, doing a little research ahead of time.
Right. Although sometimes I don't recognize people in real life. Like if I see them in the store or at an event, and especially if they don't have good pictures of themselves online, their profile is a dog or something. I'm just like, oh, I didn't know you were that person. Like when they introduce themselves or something. So anyway,
that's very tricky. And sometimes if they're over edited, that's another one for me. I'm like, wait. You look kind of like the person I know. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're really 70, but they look 20 in their pictures.
Good job.
Okay. Well, if anyone's out there watching, just let us know in a comment so we don't feel like we're talking to nobody. And then, if you have any questions throughout, just post them and we'll answer them. So Erin came to me last, I don't know, January or December, probably before that, like November, maybe in 2019. She wanted photography for her marketing. And I was so flattered because she's a photographer too, and just really good at the online marketing. And so we planned a photo shoot. It went really well. And it was like February, I guess, kind of right before things got shut down. So it was kind of weird. Like I feel like that's the last like normal thing that happened in 2020. But I've just loved seeing how you've used those photos. Like it's been over a year and you've just used them so well in your marketing. And that's always my favorite clients, those who come with a plan. They know how they're going to use the photos. They know the value of them and, just how they're going to use them to market themselves. So why were you looking for a photographer for your business? And what made you pick me?
Well, that's an easy question to answer. Visual content on Instagram is so important, especially quality images where everything is really crisp and beautiful. It just demonstrates your professionalism. It takes you up another notch as far as how people perceive you. A selfie is great, but it can only get you so far. People can tell, there's distortion present in the camera, and it's grainy. It's very obvious the difference between somebody who's doing this professionally and someone who isn't. And because of that, I really wanted to make sure that I had not just great pictures, but I'm, also conscious of, as any woman would be, of what I look like on film, and wanted somebody who really understood a woman's body and how it looks best in that two-dimensional format of photography, because it can be very intimidating. You know, you don't want to look gross on camera. So I was looking for somebody who had a lot of experience in this industry, someone who had really crystal clear, sharp, beautiful, bright images with a great color balance and not overly edited. I know that's a real trend these days to have, you know, tons of filters and layers, but I wanted it to look like as natural and as real life as possible,
Right.
because that makes it more relatable to the type of people that I'm reaching. And I did a lot of research online, looking through images and people's samples and work. And that was important to me as a consumer, seeing a lot of evidence that they had, you know, completed these jobs with people who were all different shapes and sizes and looked great. And I found Tanya and just was blown away by the quality of what she was producing and knew that she would be a safe person to trust. So that was what kind of drew me to you.
Yeah, well, I was so excited to meet with you and plan your shoot too, right? Where you had so many ideas, and then I also suggested stuff to do. I know some of my clients come with a super clear idea of what they want, and others are like, we know we need pictures for our website, but we don't know what those should be. So, you know, and I'm pretty good at coming up with ideas. So what was that planning process like for you as a creative, you know, because you didn't come with no ideas of what you needed, but what was that like?
I had absolutely no idea what to expect, and I was blown away. Honest to goodness, like I still look back on that as like the gold standard for what you should do in a client interview, because oftentimes it's trying to draw out what they're envisioning and then capturing that in the way that they hope to have it captured, and also delivering even more on the expectation, going above and beyond what they're expecting. There was talk about wardrobe, about color, and especially the color was weirdly one of the most important things that I hadn't really thought about or considered, because it is such an important part of branding. And I didn't want it all to look the same, but I also wanted it to represent my brand beautifully. These images I will probably use until I no longer look like that anymore, you know, as I age or whatever. But the amount of content we were able to produce in that 4-hour shoot, I mean, if I used one image every day, it would probably last me a year. It was so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we had over 1,000, I think.
Yeah.
Photos.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, I just gave them all to you, which my clients who are looking for social media photos, that's usually what we negotiate in. And I don't think I did any retouching on yours. I just gave them to you, and you've used them as they are, and they look awesome. I'll bring up your Instagram just to show people. Let's see, I'm gonna share my screen here.
Yeah, they didn't need any retouching. And part of that came from just having a really great makeup artist.
Yes, that's true. You use Lacey?
Yeah, Lacey at Earthly Beauty Bar in Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So let's see. So let's start. This is back before you hired me, and they're decent pictures, right?
Yeah, we tried. We sure tried.
You know, but I think once we start seeing, and you're still posting your own content, right? Like, this is one I took. These are some that you did yourself. But you know, you have these sprinkled in, and you can just tell just these 9 right here, like it's more planned out. It's like it has that color story going on. And then all of these, I'm not sure what this one is. Like doing
that's funny. That was when I did a Zoom chat with my mom because we were all stuck at home.
That's cool.
I was trying to help her with tech support on tutoring online. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, so I love that you've been able to sprinkle in content yourself, because I can't follow you around every day, right? I mean, I guess you could hire me to do that, but
I would have to definitely think about that budget. That would be a fun one.
Yeah.
Nuts, I think.
That would have to be one, like someone would have to hire me to be their only, they would be my only client if I had to do it.
Exactly.
But, you know, but you have in mind now, like, oh, this is my brand image, and I'm going to create things that fit into these professional photos. And then if you're not able to create your own content one week or something, you just pick a photo from your library, right? That we already created, because it goes along with your message and the story that you're trying to tell, and just looks really amazing. And like you said, you can use these ongoing until you don't look like that anymore. And I've had clients go for like 3 years before they hired me again. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do my job so good because don't hire me for a few years.
Yeah.
But I think this is the only one we modified in Photoshop. I added that confetti in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the only one we edited because they
Yeah.
all turned out so beautifully. And a
Right.
lot of that had to do with, the great lighting that you chose. Yeah, I didn't need to do anything to these photos, and I was so amazed by that process. Oh, and there's the,
There's an
in-action shoot.
Woohoo!
I love. I missed that office. It was so nice.
It was so great. I loved that office too. I'm sad.
But I'm really excited to be at Fellow now too. It's
Cool.
a different environment with everybody collaboratively working.
Yeah, I bet.
Cool.
Anyway, so yeah, that's Erin's Instagram and how she's been using this. And then, I mean, you use them on Facebook and your website. Where else have you been using these?
Oh my goodness. One of the most important places that I've used it, and I haven't even showed you this yet, and I can't wait. We've been working on a new project. We've developed a show, and you were on it actually.
Yeah,
I got to launch you today, which is really exciting for me. Yeah. So be watching for that tag. We're just on each other's shows. This is our new profession. But I really, we created a media kit for our advertisers and used those images in the media kit, and they turned out so beautifully. I can't even tell you. Especially, we didn't just do that one shoot, but we also did a secondary shoot at Riverfront Park. I had this cool opportunity, to rent out the carousel, and it was just so fun and lighthearted and really represented my brand. And I can't tell you how oh my God, these pictures. Cool. So I was able to cut out some of the branded specific pictures, and where I was sitting there with my phone, and then talk about all the different elements of what we're able to offer for marketing, because we're creating this really exciting multimedia marketing kind of package for our clients. And instead of just, banner ads or a magazine or article ad, it includes the show. It includes marketing online. So on social media, on our website, there's so many different layers to this, and also our newsletter every week. So Cool. Yeah, so that's the newest thing that we're up to.
Yeah, you'll have to send me the media kit. I'm actually redesigning my website and want to put some, because I'm transitioning to work story creative instead of work story photography. So I definitely want to show how people are using the elements of branding that I've created for them. So I'd love to stick that as a little sample on there.
Yeah, I would love to. I'll send it as soon as we're done.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So what else is new going on with you? I mean, you've got the podcast that's Trending Spokane, right?
Yes.
And then you still have the Spokane Guild Foodies Facebook group, which is amazing.
Yeah, we have so much.
Yeah. Are you still doing your vintage?
I am. Oh my gosh, I've had my best month ever.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah. So it's been like gangbusters, trying to just make sure I have enough stock in the store. I just keep selling out. Wow, and that's great for me, but it also, creates an additional layer of work, which we're not busy or anything. Yeah. So I have like my days very regimented and scheduled down to the minute to make sure that I can get everything in. We also have been with the Guild, getting invites to actual events again.
Right. That's so exciting.
So tonight I'm going to see you, and just before that at 3:30, I'm going to an event in Brown's Edition. I think it's Brown's Edition, Tavolata, the new restaurant by Ethan Stoll.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I get to pop by there, and Rob will go with me to that. And then I'm going to go over to the amazing Sound Bath event that you're hosting, which will be so fun. Yeah, and I've been doing travel again, because part of the Guild is that I do a food and travel blog, and I've been partnering with local visitors bureaus to be able to talk about, the unique traits about different areas. And so we're doing a trip to Seaside, Oregon, Orcas Island coming up very soon in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Places, actually, both of those places.
I've never been to Orcas Island, so I'm really stoked about that one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And some binoculars, because you can look out. It's a little island surrounded by sea. So
binoculars will travel. Luckily,
right. Yeah, because you have to take the ferry to get out there, and that's really cool. Yeah,
I booked my first ever ferry trip. I have never had to do that before, so it was a little intimidating, but not as bad as I thought. What else do
Make
we
sure you get there in plenty of time because you have to wait in line to get on there,
Mm.
like in your car. So that's a tip. Bring a
That's a
lunch.
really good idea. Ooh.
Because you might have to sit there for a while, and there's like nothing around. Like you're just in a line of cars.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
The lady there told me too to stay in Anacortes the night before so that I'm
Oh, yeah.
there close. And I
Right.
was like, what? Okay, well, I guess we're doing that. Ooh, that
Yeah.
reminds me, I need to book that.
Yeah. 'Cause you don't want to be like running late and then you miss the ferry. Yeah.
Yeah, from Spokane to Anacortes and running late, no thanks, I'll pass.
Yeah.
But that'll give me an excuse to pop by Pike's Market the day before on our way through.
Right.
So that's
That's
never a
gonna
sad.
be so awesome. Yeah. So are you still doing social media management for
Yes.
like one-on-one for some clients too?
Yes, I am. And what I think, honestly, the content that you provided me, and not just the content, but also the process, your
Mhm.
intake inspired my intake for
Oh,
social
right.
media
Okay.
clients because I realized the more thorough that I am in that initial intake, I'm not going to end up being a social media manager is kind of like moving into someone's home. You
Right.
really get to know them. You are intimate in the day-to-day details. And I have whittled my clients down to just two.
Mhm.
But I increased the cost of my services exponentially. So I'm doing less, but in a more high quality way and delivering more for them. But I'm not as busy as I was, like trying
Yeah.
to manage so many accounts at once. And one is for a major nonprofit that I have just loved getting to interact with. And the Wishing Star Foundation has been such a big part of people's lives here in the Inland Northwest. And they're actually looking at taking me on full time
Oh,
because of
wow.
that. So,
Well,
yeah.
I've noticed since you took that over, their marketing has stepped up. Because I barely knew they existed before. Like the only reason I knew is because we got nominated to be
Right.
a family. And otherwise I never was seeing them. And now I'm seeing them all over social media. So
Oh,
good job.
good. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still haven't even been doing everything that I could do for them. And we've been like gradually adding on layers. Every quarterly review, I sit down and I say, okay, so this is what you could do if you really want to get there. This is the next step. And I think for clients too, you're very good at this, gradually helping them to understand what is in their best interest and
Mhm.
how to get them to that point in a way that isn't disrespectful, because especially with digital marketing, people often who are a little bit older feel intimidated by that and feel like you think they're stupid if you're, giving them suggestions. So the teacher in me has to kind of temper how that process goes and make sure that it's warm and welcoming for everyone. And I've even trained them all on Google Drive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
pretty cool. So giving them away, even if I were to step away, say in 6 months, they can't afford, or they want to go in a different direction, or they want, or they just want to do it in-house completely.
Mhm.
I like to be able to train my clients to the point where they almost don't need me, but
Yes.
they want to have me there
Right.
because they know that the quality is going to just be
Mhm.
spot on every time. And yeah, they've learned a lot though. So that's
Right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was doing social media management for a while, but I found like they just needed to do it themselves for it to be authentic because I'm not there every day. Unless I was like you, where you just have two and it takes up all your time. So what I've been doing now is just helping them set up a style guide in Canva, like have some rules, because most small businesses don't have a brand style guide or have any rules for their brand image. And then I create a bunch of templates in Canva, and then I make a training video for how to use it so that if their staff member moves on and they get a new one, they just like, watch this video. This is how you create stuff for our social media. And then if I took their pictures, hopefully we load them all into Canva so they have, because the pictures can really unify your look. I mean, on your social media, you don't even have any designs. It's all pictures, right?
Yep.
So you don't even need graphics really if you have really great pictures, but it helps to have both, I guess. So I've been doing that for some of my clients, who they don't necessarily want to hire a social media manager, but they need some direction in how to make it look great. So I've been doing that a little bit. And then
Brilliant, actually. I love the idea of a training video so that the next person has everything they need. They know where to find it. And yeah, Canva templates are gold.
Right. Yeah. And I show them how to customize any template in there because, I mean, I can spot a Canva template usually. Canva.
Those
So,
of us who've done it, we can. We know we can.
but if you know how to customize it specifically for your brand, it doesn't look like a stock design anymore. So anyway, but
especially when you do those overlays, I've been loving the overlays lately to just add a little bit of brand personality, but really focusing on those heavy images too. It's been powerful. And another thing, with my clients, like say I do a lot of consultations. That's really been the biggest part of my business these days with the volume and the amount of people that I'm reaching is I've been scheduling 1 hour, chit chats about where they're at, where they want to go. And then I can really target it to exactly what their current needs are. Sometimes they're like, I'm good at scheduling. I already know how to do that. I just don't know what content to put up. Or, I would love to have, my branded images in there, to teach them how to use Canva, whatever their current needs are. I'm able to target right on what they are missing and then take them to the next level and even schedule subsequent ones. But with social media changing all the time, like right now, there are certain tricks to engagement that are working that will continue to keep you up at the top of the algorithm. And a lot of people are not using them, like Reels, for example. Wildly important, 3 Reels a week. You should be posting if you want to grow a minimum of 3 times a day. There are so many different tips and tricks. And those swipe across carousels where it has like, a leader or something that's like a hook and then explains some more information. And also if you get saves, that's been the biggest impact on the guild is if people want to save that content, oh my gosh, my reach is exponential.
Wow. I myself get overwhelmed by all of this stuff. I'm like, I can't imagine a small business owner who has no interest in marketing. I guess it's so overwhelming. I guess
it is.
I don't know.
It is. And if you take in teaching, it's the same way. There's always some new method. And I guess it's like the gamer, the Mario Kart racer in me. I'm like, oh, how can I beat the game? I always look at it like a fun challenge. But my advice has always been, especially in like teaching workshops to the students that my student teachers, take one thing. Take one thing and apply it and try it. And if that works or doesn't work for you, either continue to use it or chuck it and forget about it.
Right. That's been my approach too. Like, some people think they have to be on every social media platform. I'm like, just pick one, master it, see how it goes. If it makes sense to be on a different one. Like this year I've focused more on LinkedIn. Although I don't know, I'm not getting a lot of inquiries there. I think the personal brands are really who hire me and they're more on the social site. Like LinkedIn isn't super social. It's more like, I don't know.
It's more of a highlight reel and like a way to connect with other professionals and kind of see what jobs they're currently offering or to be able to get jobs yourself. But I haven't had the amount of leads on LinkedIn that I used to. And it also is kind of the way that their platform is working right now. It's making it much more difficult for people to get connected with the right leads. I've heard this all over every social media chat. More people are having success in networking on Instagram through direct messaging and, looking in certain hashtags to find your ideal client, especially local hashtags. That I could talk about for like 30 minutes straight. I mean, the utilization of local hashtags is so important. And it really, like on a post, if I know I've done a good job hashtagging, 1, the content is excellent, but 2, the use of the hashtags that I have doubles my reach. So if I'm not doubling my reach with the hashtags I use, I'll change it up and try something different next time. And more importantly, evaluate, was that the right kind of content that is interesting enough to people to grab their attention?
Yeah. So how would people, like for me, like a branding person, how would I go find the right hashtags to use?
Oh, so because you're pretty limited to this local area, I do things like Spokanegram, Spokane Wa, Liberty Lake, even. And so once you get it dialed down to just those local named hashtags, another one that's really common and fun that more people use here is Spokane doesn't suck. It's not like the best hashtag ever, but it's very
well known.
Yeah. People know it and love it. Hashtag visit Spokane. Then usually newer people in the industry will use that one. Another popular one is Spokane Moms. And one, typically, mom bloggers really want to take their game to the next level. So I suggest with anyone who's on social media, spend about 20 minutes a day engaging. So just like set a timer, pop onto one of those hashtags and just start looking through the feed, like really swipe fast. Try to find things that catch your attention based on the content, not necessarily the quality of the images. And then that's the type of person that you want to sell. Someone who's, you know, obviously got a great hustle, has great content, but is just missing that one piece. There's one person I'm thinking of in particular. I'm like, ooh, that'd be great for Tanya to get in touch with her. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I struggle with that, like noticing, you know, on social media, like, ooh, you need better pictures, your brand sucks. But I'm not the type of person to just message them and be like, hey, your pictures are terrible. You want me to want to hire me? Like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, and that doesn't.
I struggle to like figure out how to. Yeah, I mean, why would anyone hire me if I told them they sucked?
Right. And there's a tactic to that too. When you're doing that type of cold call, especially on the internet, you want to say, hey, I have this event coming up. Hey, I have this guide if you would like to look at it. Always just an absolutely free event, something that they don't have to pay any money, but just get to know you. Right. It takes sometimes, 60 different contacts for somebody to then, take the leap and join you in any kind of business enterprise. So building that trust relationship is sometimes as simple as saying, hey, here's this great free resource. If you'd like to check it out, it might be helpful to you. I really am a huge fan of what you're doing, and compliment them. The compliment sandwich is so underutilized these days. Hey, I really love your feed. Oh, by the way, here's this free thing. And I hope that you have a great day. You're doing awesome stuff. I can't wait to watch for more. That kind of.
I love that tip. That's awesome. So yeah. And one of the reasons I'm shifting back to doing brand development is because I can go outside of Spokane, and I have this thing that I'm offering that's a branding retreat. So let's say you're like a life coach in Texas and you need the whole thing, like logo, website, photos, videos, social media strategy. We can do a lot of pre-work virtually, and then you would come here. We get an Airbnb for you. Do the photos and videos, launch the website, and just get it all done. And then you're ready to go market your business in a very short time, instead of like my experience having a website made and all that stuff took months, like maybe even a year. You're just like, when's my website going to be done? Like what? And so I, as a graphic designer myself before, I didn't like that the process would be drawn out, because oftentimes you're waiting for the client to send you something, so I'm like, okay, there's going to be major hand-holding here. I'm going to create most everything for you, get your approval, and it'll just be done. So that's the process I'm moving toward. And so, and I do have an intake that's a little even more in-depth than what I was doing with my photography clients, where it's called a brainstorm. And we just go even more in depth with the questions, and kind of like you were saying with the consultation, like you really find out what they need and then make a recommendation and like a proposal from there. So that's what I'm up to. But
I think that is absolutely awesome and so needed.
I'm really excited about it. So
I just feel like so many businesses, it's kind of an advantage for people like me who have gone through that process with you, because now we know what it takes to get our business to the next level. It's just been absolutely night and day. I didn't tell you this. I just got a major contract with the Washington State Department of Health to do an advertising campaign about the importance of vaccinations and masking.
Oh, wow, cool.
Which obviously I talk about anyway. They thought, oh my gosh, we love your content so much. I pitched for 1 month, one contract, one deal. They took my top dollar package, because when they saw that branding hit, they were so impressed. And they extended it for 3 months and 3 different campaigns.
Wow, that's cool.
Sight unseen. Yeah, I don't even know what we're going to be talking about next, but I love them and I know it'll be awesome. So
cool. Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
So if someone was wanting to start a personal brand or a blog or something like that, and get to the level where you are, because you're recognized in our region, like people know who you are.
So, yeah, it's very weird. I'll have to say that. Even with my mask on, like, Spokane Guild. No, it's not me. I always have to tip well,
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine if you didn't. Oh my gosh.
Don't be that person. Yeah.
Right. So what would you recommend? I mean, aside from getting great photos,
Yeah, get great
what would you
photos.
recommend that people do, and finding hashtags on Instagram? What else should people do to start to build to that level, or what should they keep in mind?
Well, there are so many things I could say, but I think the most important thing is to really love what you're talking about. Like, if you find your niche and run with it, because it is so easy to get discouraged with the mean comments online. Like, oh my gosh, last night I was up at midnight because my husband's gone. He's traveling from Eugene, Oregon. And I always worry a little bit when he's on the road late. But someone in this group, as we've continued to build, it gets worse, right? The online bullying and the harassment. So being prepared for a lot of kickback. Personal brands, no matter who you are, no matter how amazing you are, you're going to get the naysayers who really try to drag you down. There was a gal I had to block in the group last night. I actually just muted her for 7 days because she was being really difficult, very passive aggressive, and in some instances cruel to people in the group. And so you have to make those like executive decisions really quickly and be confident in that, because then you'll get people who are upset. And she started making appearance, started saying mean things at midnight. You know, it's not just a one-time thing. The internet is a wild and crazy. Polite and messaged her back and said, hey, you must be going through some things because clearly you seem really upset. I apologize. It's just a 7-day, snooze. So think on it. Maybe don't harass the members of this group, and I hope you have a good night and move on. Being resilient enough to know that you're going to get a lot of flack for putting yourself out there. It can be intimidating for that reason, but also to just let it go. It's not that important. Like, you doing lives can be so intimidating to some people. Yeah. But the more, I think it was Carrie. Carrie, who we had on our podcast, said, just get over yourself. Like, don't stress out about how you feel you look or whatever. Just go for it. And there will always be somebody less qualified than you who is doing exactly what you want to do and being very successful at it. Taking it a step at a time and just learning as you go. You kind of have to build the airplane as you're flying it, and that's okay. Yeah. But do learn from other creatives. I think that's the most important thing, other than being able to let stuff go, is networking with really cool people that you relate to and that support you and are kind and can also give you critical feedback in a respectful way. Yeah. I know that you had some excellent critical feedback at our shoot, because I'm sensitive about the way that I look on camera. And so you'd say, that shirt does not work for you. I love you. Go change it. Right. And so grateful for friends like that, because that is gold. So having people in your network that make you better and sharpen, what you're trying to accomplish. Like Melissa does that for me. Oh my gosh, she is worth her weight in gold. I could not be more lucky to find like-minded creatives to push me to the next level.
Right. Yeah, I love that advice. Well, and keeping in mind too, like, you didn't start out like your first post on Instagram, like, no, I'm an influencer. No, like, it took time and consistency. And I love that tip about being a little thick-skinned, and you probably won't be at the beginning. I remember I was a writer for SLR Lounge for several years. Yeah. And I wrote an article on how you shouldn't take pictures on railroad tracks. Like, I always see, like, I can't remember the statistic, but a lot of people die on railroad tracks every year.
Very dangerous.
And there's a lot of misconceptions. Like, people think, oh, the train's loud, I'll hear it. No, they're absolutely silent. They cannot, it takes a football-filled distance for them to stop once they put on their brakes. So anyway, I did all this research. I spent like hours on it and got quotes from like Operation Lifesaver, all these things, and wrote this article. And there were so many haters. Like, it was my most popular article, except for how to not look fat in pictures. That was my most popular one. But yeah, and I got a lot of
so true.
Yeah, I got a lot of negative comments on that article too. But I was like devastated. I was like crying. I was like, I spent so much time on this. It's such valuable information. And people were like, whatever, I'm going to still take pictures on railroad tracks. And anyway, so I learned after that to be excited when I have haters, because that means people are seeing it, and people, have opinions, and I'm standing for something. So yeah, now I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. You know, just a couple days before our shoot, I was having trouble with a group of ladies on the internet that were bullying me and harassing me. And my boss said that exact thing to me, and I will never forget it. I was so worried that he was going to be upset. They went as far as calling my work and trying to get me fired from my social media jobs.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was intense. And they still try. They still keep doing this. I'm like,
So weird.
oh my gosh. Yeah, you know, there are always people out there who will put gossip first and don't give you an opportunity to address problems that they perceive to be real and that just aren't. But either way, I mean, yeah, you can create some haters and it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said, if you're not creating haters, then you're probably not doing anything important, because if you're changing an industry, if you're pushing ahead of people, they're going to be, one, jealous, and two, they'll have a lot of opinions about it. And that's great. You're creating an emotional response. That's gold. So after that happened, I actually got a little bolder in what I was sharing and really being more authentically myself. When you're starting and developing a brand, right? It can be difficult to be polarizing, because if you have 10 followers and you cut it into 5, that's not going to work for you. But as you grow, you can kind of stretch a little bit and see how things will maybe work if you support a major movement. Like the Black Lives Matter movement was a really tough one for a lot of people. And I felt very passionate about it, but was also gracious. So it created some cool conversations and lifelong connections that I now have. Like, one of my very favorite people in the entire world is Keonta Duncan, and she lives like 2 blocks from me. I had no idea. She's the president of the Spokane NAACP and a phenomenal human being. So that came from a social media post.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, this deep connection. Now she's my son's auntie, adopted auntie.
Yeah. No, I admire that about you. You're willing to just put whatever out there. I'm a little more guarded. I try to be Switzerland on my social media, but I have clients from every walk of life, very different opinions, political, religious. And so I try to stick to business in my topics, or my kids, my family, being authentically me. But yeah,
and I always recommend that to clients.
But I think you have a good point in that, if you're going to attract people, you might as well attract people who like what you're doing, and the other people just will go away, or just, and that's one reason you should have a brand that's different from everyone else and not totally vanilla and generic looking or sounding, because then you'll just, it's not clear who you're for. So.
And that's a personal branding trick. If it's an individual, you want to show how they're different as an individual. For business branding, like you're saying, oh yeah, I would not be advertising, X, Y, and Z on my business profile. Obviously, I am too connected at this point. You can't really separate the two. But for personal branding, as you grow, do try to, step out a little bit from time to time. But you are going to be, experiencing some inevitable backlash. And it can be great and it can be terrible, but okay.
Yeah. Well, I always think like, I don't want to be famous. Like I watch all the documentaries of like the royalty and the celebrities, and I'm like, I just wouldn't like, I like my privacy. I mean, obviously I want to give value to my little audience here. I can't imagine a household name. Yeah, I don't really.
Yeah, you have to grow into that kind of discomfort. Yeah. It's not easy. And one of my cousins is a little famous on TikTok. She just got her first back-to-back million views on her songs, which is, that's major. And she's a singer-songwriter, used to be with a band called Honey County, and is now totally an independent artist. But I worry for her, because this is all still very new. And because I'm a small town famous, everybody in this community recognizes me. So I get, not everybody, but a lot of people do. So I get that concentrated more. If you're famous nationwide or, globally even, it does some really weird things to you. So I don't blame you.
Yeah, you could still go to the Oregon coast or whatever, and no one's going to know who you are. So you can still get away, So, and I mean, anyway. So.
Yeah, I did a live in Walla Walla, and I've never been more small town famous than that. I did a takeover for Discover Walla Walla. And
I remember that.
Yeah. Every single place I went, they're like, "Oh, you're that girl that's on Discover Wall Wall. Aren't you smoking?" You know, every single place. It was really weird. And then, like, I was trying to do a video somewhere, like in the main square area, and I had a group of people approach me, and they were all like wanting to be in it. I thought, "Oh my god, nope, this is not what I want." But it's fun to be incognito, and
Yeah.
I've been loving masks for that reason because I
Right?
feel less. Yeah.
Yeah. No, sometimes if we're doing a shoot downtown with like the lights and everything, people will
Oh
walk by
yeah.
and go, are they shooting a movie? Like, what's going on? Who are you? You know,
Oh
is that a
yeah.
celebrity? And they, oh, it's funny. I'm like, no, just a consultant.
Well, something else that just sparked a memory for me. I just did a shoot with Molly downtown as she's kind of developing her brand, and
Mhm.
she has taken a lot of advice that you have given her and moved forward. And to me, that's another additional layer of being a business owner that is contributing to the community. You're
Right.
teaching and empowering people that you work with to go out and do this for themselves too.
Right.
And that is so cool. I just have loved seeing that
Right.
process. And
Yeah.
Vinny,
Oh yeah, I love him. Yeah, Molly, Vinny, Tessa, my assistant, and then Julie, who does makeup for me. I feel like even though they're all contractors for me, I feel like they're important parts of my team, and I have not held back anything from them. You know, if they ask me something about business or whatever, I tell them. And I mean, I'm one photographer. I can't fill my mission of helping businesses look better in their marketing all by myself all over the world. So I'm happy to train people, and I, you know, as long as they're not directly contacting my clients and trying to steal that business. Like, there's plenty of clients for everyone. And I mean, that's one reason I teach a branding photography course, is to help other photographers be able to do this and do it well so that their clients come back over and over. And I just got a testimonial this week from a girl who bought the course in January, and she's already made $10,000 from
what?
she was like, this is like a business in a box. Like, she bought it one day, and like a week later she had a client and she knew exactly what to do to have a successful shoot, because I walk you through everything. And it took me like 5 years to figure out what to do, because I had no one showing me how to do this type of photography or run this type of business. And so yeah, I'm really passionate about passing it on to others and seeing them succeed. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. Anytime. I was so impressed in working with her with you. And there's a market for every kind of photographer too.
Mhm.
You know, I had this idea and I was working with a brand, a major brand, and they sent me all these clothes, and I was like, oh gosh, I need pictures, but I don't want to take them. This sounds terrible. I was like, Molly, are you available tomorrow? She goes, yes, I will be there. You know, so, and at the price point that she was at and with the quickness, but if I wanted a high quality shoot, I know exactly, like, it's totally two different products.
Yes.
There's the level that you're achieving, and then there's this person who's just starting out. You're not going to get the same product. And I think that's important to differentiate too. Like I said, the content that you gave me will last me years. You know, that will last me maybe, 5 minutes or so, but I needed that in that moment.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think too, like, I get calls for corporate headshots a lot where they're like, well, like, first they came to me, I gave them a price, and they went with someone else, and then they come back and they're like, we couldn't use any of those pictures. They were really bad. And I'm like, so sorry. Like, I don't charge a ton for corporate headshots. Like, my rates for that are super competitive. But I think people just try to want to go the cheap route a lot of the times, or don't see the value in having a great picture and getting it done quickly and easily. Like, for the headshots, I come in, we take your pictures, we're done, you look great. It's not so much like the branding where there's all this preparation. But I always feel bad when that happens. They're like, we hired someone cheaper and it just didn't work out. And I'm like, well,
yeah. It's like branding photography, you have to go big or go home. Yes. And if you don't have the money right away, save up for it, plan for it, wait.
Right.
Don't just go with whoever. There are those casual lifestyle shots, they're natural light, and that's like it's valuable. You can still use those. But for the longevity of your brand and for, really demonstrating that high quality professionalism, and especially for a marketing kit, like you've got to have the great lighting and the great lenses that really capture that crispness that you're looking for to look professional.
Right. And I do have some packages I don't really advertise on my website for people who are starting out, where if you just need 5 pictures to get started for a podcast cover or, you know, your Facebook thing, you know, I mean, it's still not going to be cheap, but it get you started, right? If you're not ready for that huge social media campaign. So, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to me, people. have a conversation about what I could do for your business at whatever stage you're in. And that's an option. So
that's really smart. And honest to goodness, if you have 5 great pictures, they are going to take you so much further than if you have 100 terrible ones, or even 100 mediocre ones. Those beautifully captured images, it just changes everything.
Yeah, my client Neil, that's a coach, she had like a 5-image package, like an hour, and she still uses one of those from that on her podcast cover. Like, we've since done the big shoot, and we're actually planning another one coming up, but just those 5 photos got her started, right? Like, she had a basic website, and before she had no pictures of herself, and just having those 5 pictures to get started was helpful. And then she, you know, has since upgraded as she's made more money and been successful. So yeah. Okay, let's see. What other questions can I ask you? I guess, what results have you gotten in your business since you started using professional photography? Did you notice a shift?
Oh, girl. Yes. I was able to actually, I think my intake increased by at least 300%.
Wow.
Yeah, my gross. So that was, I finally felt like I am able to do this full time and not have to do anything else. Although I'm, you know, still insane and doing other things like the vintage business and, you know, social media management and this.
We're similar in that way. I'm like, fight going on. I need to pick one, but it's so hard.
Well, I'm that weird person who looks at work as fun. You know, I just genuinely enjoy the process of working, tearing apart a problem, developing creative material. Like, it's both my hobby and my job, you know, so that's the ideal. If you're having fun while you're working, how could you go wrong? But my kids do think it's weird when I get a new dress and I'm like, hey, will you come with me to the park next door and then just hold this camera real quick so I can take a quick picture, or with the dogs or whatever. But it is a strange job sometimes. You know, people sometimes think that if you have a lot of pictures taken of yourself, you're like into yourself, and you know, I don't know what that self-indulgent or something, but it's just not the case. It's just part of the business, and you get
marketing, right? It's just part of the advertising. So we have a question here from Victoria. She says, how often did you refresh what would be the basic photos for your product? So Victoria owns a boutique. So I think that is a little different than a personal brand. But I mean, I would say, Victoria, for your store, as long as you had really great pictures of the outside, so people know, you know, when they look on Google what they're looking for, and then, you know, some great photos of the inside of your store too, and of some, you know, because you're a personal brand too. And like Erin said, as long as you still look the same, you don't necessarily need to update really often. For you, you know, people want to see pictures of the clothes. So whether you have photos from the manufacturer or the brand, or you're just taking them like you're doing in your live, she does a live video every week.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Which is really, like, that was a result of COVID. And I think it's really just elevated her marketing, just brought it into the digital age. And she's really funny, and video works really good for her. So yeah, Victoria, I think if you had just a really great set of professional photos of your shop, you wouldn't necessarily need to update a lot for you, unless you wanted to have like fashion show pictures of what's new in the shop, but that just doesn't seem sustainable because you're always getting new stuff.
Right. For me, in my shop, what has worked best is I take a batch of pictures of new product, and I'll say, you know, this is an example of something we have had in the store or have in the store, give a description. And then I also load it into my social media scheduler so that if I have sold it, then I'll put sold and, you know, share that right away. But I always have a really bright, clean, beautiful picture of the product, because if you don't, it's not going to be as attractive.
Right. If you're selling
best thing. Yeah. The best thing you can do is take it outside of your store, outside of the shop in the front, and you have a really great clean backdrop and have it on a mannequin so they can get an idea of what it looks like. that can be very helpful, and style it a little bit. You can get ideas for that on Pinterest.
Yeah. Victoria's really good at that. She has Audrey's Boutique, if you haven't checked out.
Oh my gosh, I love that place. Oh yeah.
Hi, Victoria. She's doing a really good job with her marketing, I think. So
definitely.
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't had any other questions come in. I just love what you're doing. Of course, I love you. So glad to have you as kind of a peer. I don't know if we say mentor, but we're just like masterminds, I guess.
I love that. We learn a lot from each other, and that's, I think, the best kind of business partnership.
Yes, absolutely. So where can people find you if they want to connect?
My favorite place to connect is on the Spokane Guild on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I also have, Erin Peterson. If you want to find me, I share like highlights of my career wins there. I don't share them on social media very much. Like, hey, I just got this big contract. That's not a cute thing to do. And yeah, I would love to connect with anybody if they have more questions about how to run a great personal brand. I'm also offering those 1 hour brainstorming sessions where we sit down and talk about your business, and I give you an action plan that you can use the very next day to increase the power of the storytelling to draw in new clients. So that's really my main bread and butter, is helping you to learn how to market yourself in a way that's emotionally responsive to people.
Yes, I love it. That's why we mesh so well, because our missions are the same, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you. I just want to put in a little plug too for this pricing workshop I'm offering. That it's June 1st, 2nd, and 4th on Zoom. And I'm going to be teaching people how to price their luxury services. So, and not just like, here's a calculator, go figure out your cost of doing business. We're going to talk about mindset and your target market and how pricing positions you in the market, and then help you figure out how much to charge. So, yeah, it's great for, hairstylists, massage therapists, coaches, photographers, anyone who offers a service that's not like a commodity, basically. So, and you can go to, I don't have a direct link for that. Just go to or message me if you want more information about that. And I've posted it all over my social media too, so you can see it. Or I think if you go to Work Story, I don't really have it posted on my website, but anyway, it's a landing page that I don't know the URL for. So yeah, just message me if you're interested in that. And it's really affordable, super valuable. And yeah, I guess my podcast interview with you is coming out too. So I'll share that out to everyone. And that was super fun. So if
you'll learn a lot if you watch that podcast.
Yeah, it was a great.
A lot of great tips.
If someone has a Spokane business and wants to be on your podcast, is that an option, or is that part of the new kind of packages you're rolling out, or are you just looking for guests in general?
So we just kind of scope for guests. If you want to nominate someone, even if it's yourself, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'm happy to get connected and talk about that. We always have a very specific vision because it's trending Spokane. We want to talk to people who are doing something that's, catching a little bit of viral marketing on its own, or with a topic that's important in the current national discussion. So those are the types of people that we're looking for. And if someone fits the bill, please recommend them. That would be great to connect.
Okay, cool. And it was really fun and easy and not intimidating. So
not scary, promise.
Right. I've actually been having so much fun being interviewed on people's podcasts. I'm like, can I just be like a professional interviewee? Like, what's that job? I don't know.
The interviewer is fun too, believe it or not.
I know. I like doing that part too. So I'm like, in my dream life, I'm Oprah, I guess. I don't know.
Totally.
People all the day. But anyway. Yeah. Except I don't want to be a household name. So
it's intimidating. It is. Even just on the local level, it's weird, but we deal with it. And you get to know really cool people. That I think is the best part of this job, is that upcoming interviews that we're having, Jess Walter, who I am such a huge fan of his writing, New York Times bestselling author 2 times over.
Wow. I've only read one of his books. I should read more.
Did you read The Beautiful Ruins?
Yeah, that's the one I read.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
didn't even know he was a local author. It was at the library, like displayed on a shelf, and I loved the cover. And I was like, this looks good. And I'm reading it, and I posted it on social media, and someone's like, he's a Spokane author. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, and his latest book, The Cold Millions, is such a beautifully written book. It's about Spokane, too.
Oh, cool.
It's about the first ever successful labor march that was organized in Spokane.
Huh.
Yeah, incredible. You learn about Elizabeth Gurley Flynn and the International Workers of the World. So yeah, the Cold Millions, could not recommend it more. I heard about it on a podcast too. I was listening to Luke Baumgarten's podcast.
Oh yeah.
He went really in depth with it, loved every minute. It was fascinating. So
awesome. Cool. Let's see. We have Amy Boring saying, what's going on, ladies? We're just talking about social media and personal branding, photography, Spokane. A
little bit Spokane in there.
Anyway, so I'll let you go, Erin. It's been a great conversation. And good luck with your event tonight. And I will see you at my client VIP event, which if you hire me, maybe you'll get invited to the next one.
I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Thanks again, Tanya. And I will see you tonight.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.